Hi there, Aquarius. Welcome to a love reading for August 2025. It's Raina from Tarot Alchemy with Raina Moon. And if you like astrology, please check out my main channel at Raina Moon Astrology. This is a love reading. Okay. Interesting, because we are having you're in Aquarius. There's going to be a full moon in Aquarius on the 9th of August. Of course, that's during this time frame. And when there's a full moon, the sign of the full moon opposes the sun at the same degree. So the sun will be in Leo, and this card represents Leo, and that was the first card. This is the last card I picked. So that should be a very eventful full moon, and that will take place. The full moon will take place in your first house of the self. So it's about that opposition is looking at your place in things or what your needs are. Maybe you sacrificing some needs in a relationship, and that you have to honor yourself. And in some cases, you might have to change how you are behaving because it's not conducive to having a healthy relationship. If you're single, the same thing, that you need to maybe kind of like transform some aspects of yourself so that you can be successful in relationships. And of course, you have Pluto in your sign, so there's the transformation. But yeah, it will typically for Aquarius have to do with, your ability to feel, and to express those feelings, your ability to kind of tune into your partner and to validate their feelings and not try to shy away from feelings in general. That could be one thing, not to be so detached. The heart of the matter is the Strength card, and this can give some insight into what the person has been through. And this is a love reading, so I'd say romantically. Of course, it could be in some other area of life that has impacted you as a whole. But this could also be a Leo person, somebody with a strong Leo influence that you've met and you're dealing with. But even like as a single person, you may feel like, wow, that was a tough year, the last year, and I'm getting better all the time. I'm starting to improve. In the past position, we have the Five of Cups. This is the grief process. So maybe you're single now, but you got divorced a year ago or 2 years ago, and you're just now feeling comfortable to go back into dating, into having relationships. And then in my mind, I thought about somebody who broke off a relationship. Maybe somebody broke off a relationship with you, or an engagement is really what I meant. And that was difficult to process. But also death. If you experience the death of a spouse or a partner, now you could be feeling kind of stronger to be able to even brave that, because, of course, something like that would be so traumatic that would be hard to just like deal with it so easily. I mean, it does take time, definitely. The higher message is the Seven of Cups. You may be someone, it's like a kid in a candy store where you have a lot of people who are interested in dating you, or you're interested in more than one person and they happen to be out there. But look at some of those cups. I mean, they've got a snake in there, some other creature on the top row. So sometimes something may look very attractive outside, the package, but inside it might not be that pleasant. So, especially if you're somebody who hasn't been on the market for a long time, you might be a little rusty and you kind of forgot that. Maybe you're just like physically attracted to someone and they look so good on the surface. You have to, practice a lot of self-restraint, because, you want to make a good choice in who you're dating. Now, if you're just, you know, wanting to have fun, that's a different story. But even in those scenarios, it isn't necessarily that easy to just kind of go from one person to the other. It could be a little bit tricky. What crosses you is the Wheel of Fortune. So the Wheel of Fortune can be about cycles in life, and it could be that there is something going on in one of your life cycle that is not really, even if you feel like you're ready to date, again, there's some other thing going on, and it might just be like, when I say life cycle, it sounds like so formal, but it could simply be there's some very big thing that you're currently doing that you're responsible for. Like maybe you're taking care of an elderly parent, or maybe you have a child who you've taken out of school and you're homeschooling and you're just really busy with everything, and you don't feel like you have time to also date, but you want to. Sometimes we have desires, but our life in that moment doesn't match what we have. So how can you reconcile that? Well, first of all, you can say to yourself, wow, I'm so glad that I am getting better, that I'm at the point where I'm even thinking about this, doing this. I'm so happy. I feel like I've recovered so much. And at the same time, you can say to yourself, but I really need to tie up these loose ends, because until I do, it really doesn't make much sense to date, because this is just like a one-time shot. I'm going to be busy. I'm going to be, taking care of this person. I'm going to be traveling to where they are. So I really don't have that time to just devote to getting to know someone at this moment. So that can give you a little bit of clarity of how you want to invest your energy right now. And if you are currently in a relationship, this may be all about, the Five of Cups might be all about accepting the death of a dream. And, Seven of Cups sometimes can be addiction. And it might either be on your part or the part of the person that you're with. If it's on your part, it may be clouding your judgment. If you have some kind of substance abuse problem, or, maybe you're drinking more than you normally are, and it's affected your judgment, your clarity of mind, you may be kind of like confused about what you should be doing. If you're someone who has a partner who has, let's say you have an alcoholic spouse, you may be reluctant to end that relationship, even though you feel like you should do it, because you feel guilty, like they rely on you and things like that. And I think these are the kind of issues that come up in talk about codependency, about like what people take on as their responsibility and what isn't. And, I'll be very honest with you, when these kinds of self-help books or even organizations say, well, that's not that, they have to take responsibility for themselves. That sounds good, but when you love someone, you really don't want to abandon them, even if it's dragging you down. Sometimes you don't want to, you can sense that person is very vulnerable, and you don't want to just like leave them in the lurch. But on the other hand, you may be helping them to continue to be self-destructive. So that's why sometimes it's good to get involved in one of these groups, support groups, because other people are going through the same things, and there's a process on how you can detach with love instead of just like either continuing as you are or just completely like walking away from the situation. So it doesn't have to be either or, in other words. What's coming in is the Three of Cups. This can sometimes be a card of the person who's partying all the time. And, you know, to me, this can also be like a womanizing type of an energy. And sometimes those two things go together. The drinking bone is tied to the womanizing bone because, you know, a person lets down their guard and then and they're in a situation, maybe you're not there, and they're doing other things. Actually, the number 3 can be a 3-party situation, or that there is an outside person. And so if you are someone, and if you are single, I would say that this card is really about getting out there, you know, getting in touch with your friends and having fun. You know, the law of attraction talks about our emotions really being an attractive force. I mean, when I say attractive, I mean really like magnetizing. Because when you're having fun, when you're having a good time, you're, you know, raising your frequency, and that can bring good things to you, obviously. The outcome is the World card. This is the end of an era. So if you are in a relationship, it can be that you finally realize that it's over. If you're single, this can be like the end of your bachelorhood, maybe the end of your time of being alone, when now it might be the time when you really want to get to be with someone. Uranus is in Gemini. That is your 5th house of romance. Uranus can be like a lightning bolt. So that can be like a very sudden thing where you fall in love all of a sudden with someone. You might even be like an Aquarius, because Uranus rules Aquarius. So you might meet an Aquarius person. 2 Aquarians. Well, that would be interesting. And it's like, you know, because there's like an intuitive quality of Uranus or Aquarius, where you know, like, okay, this is the one. I was meant to meet this person, but you have to put yourself out there to even do that. So, yeah, so that's what I have for you, Aquarius. If you'd like a tarot reading, an astrological reading, or combination thereof, you can check my website for my deals, my package deals, and my individual readings. The link below will take you there. I'm at RainaMoonAstrology.com. Thanks for watching. Bye.